Hello my sweets, it's Keisha. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new, thank you so much for joining me, and I hope you consider subscribing. Today I'll be showing you how I made these mini faux cupcake ornaments. If you'd like to see how, just keep watching. A list of supplies I used is in the description box below. For this ornament, what you're going to need is a piece of foam core, some mini baking cups, and I made a little stencil of the, or template, excuse me, of the bottom of the cupcake cup and a pencil. So what I'm going to do is cut 3 of these little circles to go in the bottom of these cups here, and this just helps for the cup to stay flat for the next step that we're going to do. So now I'm just going to go ahead and cut these out. So now I'm going to glue these down into the cups, and I'm just going to put a little hot glue here and stick them down in there. Now I'm planning to use these for ornaments, but if you are doing these just for standalone, you may want to put like a little rock or a little pebble down in the bottom, just because these do tend to get a little top heavy and can tip over. Okay, so now we've got those set up, we're going to go to our next step. Okay, so I've gotten my cupcake cups into a silicone baking sheet. If you're going to do this project, you want to make sure that you have one that's designated for this. You don't want to use this with food again, because yeah, you just don't want this stuff next to stuff you'll be eating. Now what I have is the gaps and cracks, and I picked this up at Home Depot, and I believe it was no more than $6 for this. And I've already done a whole tray of them, and I still have this left over. So I'm going to show you how it works here. You want to be sure that you're wearing gloves and protective eyewear. I wear glasses, so I guess that'll be my protective eyewear. But this stuff is really sticky, so you don't want to get it on your hands. So this container here is reusable. A lot of them aren't. You just want to make sure that you shake it really good, and then squirt a little bit into the cup, okay? And the stuff will expand. Now what I did previously, oh, that's a bit too much, so that's going to be out of control. The trigger on this is really sensitive. I guess obviously because this isn't really meant for crafting, but we're doing it. So just a little bit in each cup, and then as I was saying before, all I did was spray these in the evening, and then I let them sit overnight, and then you're able to use them again. Now this container is reusable. It does have a start and a stop cap on it, and it's good for, if I remember correctly, you can use it up to 4 weeks. It does have a disclaimer on there that it may not work, but I've had this open now for about a week and a half, and I was able to get these ones done here. So this is going to sit overnight, and I'm going to bring in the ones, actually they're going to sit right here because I need to work out of this tray. I'm going to go ahead and bring them in. So here you can see the cupcakes that are now dried, and what I have done so far is I painted the gaps and cracks this pink color to resemble strawberry, and I also have some that I painted with an antique white, so they look like vanilla. So I'm going to set these in here while I do my next step. Now they're not going to come out like super perfect, so on some of these I did have to shave it down, so you can kind of see that it's not perfectly round, but it'll do for the purpose of what we're doing here. Okay, so I'm just going to set these on here, and then I'm going to move this off for the side to the side momentarily, and I'll be right back. Next, what I have here is some lightweight spackling, a tube of caulking, some apple barrel paint in the color Parakeet, and some craft sticks. And what I'm going to do is mix up the icing frosting for the cupcakes. And if you plan to do this as like on a large scale, I think it would be more cost effective if you went to like the hardware store or Walmart and purchased a big tub of it. But I'm staying on a rather smaller scale, and these containers I found are pretty good for that. Also, I like these containers because you can put the lid back on them and store them for a while. Now, what I'm doing here is I'm mixing it up a little bit, and then I'm going to take some of this caulking and squeeze just a little bit off in there. And I found, for me, like if you search this up on how to do the frosting online, you'll find all kinds of different ways to mix it. But I found that this way makes it a little bit smoother for me. But you can experiment around and see what you like. Now, you don't want this to be too runny, or otherwise your frosting will goop. But then you also don't want it to be too thick, because you'll have a hard time squeezing it out of the bag. So those are a couple of things to be mindful of when mixing up your frosting. Kind of want it to be like the consistency of frosting. So I'm gonna go ahead and stir this, and I don't have any measured amounts. I just put it in there, and if it feels right, it feels right. I don't know how else to put it. Now, if you do get it too runny, I've heard of using flour to thicken it back up, or cornstarch as an option. And you just want to do that a little bit at a time, because you don't want it to be like a cement consistency and then have to keep adding paint and all these things. Also, if you find it to be too thick, you can add water to bring it back down. I've even used a little bit of just Mod Podge in there. But again, it's just all personal preference as to how you want to do it. So you just want to add color to the intensity that you want. Just remember that any color you use is going to lighten up because you're mixing it with white. So I think it's to the consistency that I like, so I'm going to go ahead and get this backed up. Okay, so I have my piping back here, and I have this tip, which is, I want to say it's a 1M, yes, it's a 1M tip through Wilton. And what I'm going to do is cut the tip of this bag off first. And you don't want to cut too much. If this is your first time using a piping bag, you don't want to cut too much. It's better to cut it little by little, so that the tip doesn't end up going all the way through. So I'm going to cut a little bit more off here. I know it seems like I have a mess on my table here. I apologize for making a mess here. You want to make sure your tip is secure in your bag, and then you're going to take your bag and put it down in a cup. Again, you don't want to use any items in this project that could be reused for food, because this stuff is really not meant to be eaten. So you put the bag over your cup, and then we're going to take the frosting here and just start putting it down in the bag. Okay, so I'm going to set this to the side for just a moment while I talk about what I have here. So I have the cupcakes back. The reason why this one isn't inside of the cup is because this is a smaller one. So I intend to go all the way down to the actual liner and cover that one up. So I just have it taped to this little wooden board that I have. Okay, I also have some iridescent glitter. You can use any color glitter that you prefer. And I also have these cherries. They're actually berries that I got last year from Walmart for 97 cents. And I cut them off at an angle. And these ones I painted with Mod Podge and then dipped them in glitter. I do that with the ones that have a shorter stem, and also any of them like this one here that's damaged. I will glitter these just to kind of hide the imperfections. But you don't necessarily have to do that. I do have some here that, well, I've used most of them, but that are plain, that I use also. So now what I'm going to do is get the bag out and stay in the shot here. All I'm doing is trying to shake the frosting down a little bit, and then I'm going to just take the bag and kind of squeeze it so the frosting starts to come out. Okay, so it's just about there. So what I'm going to do is open my glitter a little bit so I'm not fumbling around later. And I am not the best at frosting, and you don't have to be either. Just try it, go with it. So I'm going to come kind of like I'm going down around and just swirling it. Just like that. I hope you can see that. So I'm going to frost all of these here. Just want to make sure your bag is twisted so it doesn't come back out the other end. And I'm going to come in the middle and kind of swirl it around. Now with these, because they're a little bit higher, I like the actual cake to show, which is why I painted these so they look like actual cupcakes. And then I'm just swirling around the frosting, just like that. I'm going to squeeze the excess back down in here. And just cut my tip off into a thing of water here so that that stuff doesn't dry up in my tip. And done with this for now. I like these because I feel like they have an airtight seal to them. So the next thing I'm going to do is go ahead and sprinkle this with some glitter. Okay, and then like with these that have the shorter stem, you can stick the stem down in there and just have a cute little cherry like that, the shorter stem. And then these that have the actual stem to it, you can have them with the stem sticking up. And it looks like I miscounted. So let's get this other one. Stick that one there with a little stem. Now, I'm going to bring back out these hooks that I did earlier, just the U shape, and to make them an ornament. Let's see. You just stick it down into the foam. You don't want to be too rough with it because your fingers may end up going right down into that frosting. But you just want to stick that down in there, and then that way you have a hook to hang your ornament on the tree. Went a little wild there. So now you just set these aside to dry. And these are the ones that we sprayed earlier. And actually they're already pretty solid. I don't want to mess with it too much, but you can see this is what it looks like. Okay, so I'm going to set these to the side to dry. And here they are. I've added foam beads to some and faux sprinkles to others. I also sealed them with a layer of matte Mod Podge, but that's optional. To see how I use these cupcake ornaments, stay tuned for an upcoming video. If you've enjoyed this video, hit the like button and leave me a comment below. If you'd like to see more, subscribe and choose all notifications so you don't miss my next video. Thank you so much for watching, and remember, love, inspire, create. See you next time.